Hello, and welcome back. Welcome to another Read With Me session on this incredible book, Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life, by none other than Bob Proctor, a legend here. An incredible book so far. We are currently about to dive into chapter 3. It's called Developing the Confidence to Change Your Paradigm. In the previous chapters, we've been learning about what is a paradigm, understanding awareness, just absolutely mind-blowing the information that's already been shared. So if you have missed it, we do have a playlist with the previous chapters of this book that you can listen into as we post every single day, Monday through Friday, a new chapter, a new Read With Me session on each of the books that we're reading that particular month. And we're reading one personal book of the month, as our mission is to impact and empower billions of souls all over the world to achieve personal freedom and financial freedom in their life. And we're going to do that by developing our minds, our bodies, and our souls daily. All right. So glad that you're here. My name is Vanessa Black. I'm one of the founders and owners of Billionaireette. You can definitely connect with us here on YouTube, subscribe to this channel. If you want to continue to grow, continue to just be surrounded by like-minded individuals and to, just get updated from the latest books that are out there, the latest things when it comes to financial freedom and personal freedom. And we also have Instagram that you can connect with us on there, Billionaireette. And I'm super excited to dive into chapter 3 with you right here, right now. So let's do it. It's been absolutely phenomenal. On the previous chapter, we talked about finding your purpose, attracting what you need. Are you living someone else's paradigm? That was a question. And chapter 1, we dove into developing awareness, unconscious competence, paradigms and habits, your awesome power to change. That was chapter 1. So let's dive into chapter 3, developing the confidence to change your paradigm. Okay. In the last chapter, I mentioned a human resources congress that featured Eric Hoffer. I was in the back of the ballroom at the same congress at the O'Hare Hyatt in 1969 when Bill Gove was speaking. There were about 1,000 people in the audience. He stood in front of them had a handheld mic and said, "If I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be. Not the me I think my kids think I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. I'd better know who me is." He had his audience right in the palm of his hand. Now I had gathered a ton of information and I'd been studying it every day for about 8 years. I was standing in the back corner of the room and thinking, wow, he's so good. If only I could do that. On his magic word recording, Earl Nightingale says, "Now right here we come to a rather strange point. We tend to minimize the things we can do and the goals we can accomplish. And for some equally strange reason, we think other people can accomplish things that we cannot." He added, "I want you to understand that that's not true, that you've got a deep pool of talent and ability within you. If at the 1969 conference you were to ask me, do you understand what Earl says? I'd have said, of course I understand it. I've been listening to this straight for 9 years every day. But all of a sudden, it was as if a rocket had gone off my mind. That's what Earl means. I was thinking I couldn't do what Bill Gove was doing. At that point, I made up my mind that not only was I going to do what he was doing, I was going to get him to teach me. I made up my mind to leave a note for Bill Gove asking him to teach me how to do what he was doing. I was ready to learn. Confidence comes from knowledge. Page 47 if you have a physical book. Confidence comes from knowledge. When people say they don't have any confidence, that's not completely true. They're probably confident that they can get dressed, tie their shoes, and drive a car. They're confident that they can do all kinds of things. When they don't have the confidence to do something they'd really like to do, it's because they don't know how. The more you learn how, the more confidence you'll have. I made up my mind I would learn how to do what Gove was doing. So I got to know him and paid him thousands of dollars on a number of occasions to sit down with him. I don't speak like Bill Gove at all. He would never know that he was the one who taught me to speak. I had the ability to speak inside of me. He didn't need to teach me that. He taught me how to be calm and confident in front of a group of people. He said, quit worrying about what they think of you. That's what I really learned. Author Terry Cole Whitaker wrote a book called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. That's the way it is. The tyranny of, quote, other people. That brings me to a related issue, the tyranny of what other people think. Earl Nightingale helped me there. He said, if you knew how little other people were thinking, you wouldn't be concerned with what they're thinking of. What they're thinking. If the average person said what they were thinking, they would be speechless. Dr. Ken McFarland, a great educator down in Kentucky, said 2% of the people think, 3% think they think, and 95% would actually rather die than think. It's a good one to highlight. 2% of people think, 2% of people think, 3% think they think, and 95% would actually rather die than think. What you think of yourself is very important. What other people think of you is not important. I used to be very concerned with what other people thought of me. I'm not anymore because I realized what somebody else thinks of me really has no bearing on my life. What I think of me is everything. If I really work at being a nice person and I work at accomplishing something, other people will probably like me. But if I go around concerning myself with what other people think, I'm not going to accomplish very much. Bill Gove taught me to be relaxed in front of an audience. He said, remember, you're only talking to one person. You could have a whole room full of people, but there's only one person. You've got to get that straight in your head and be really interested in sharing something of value with the person that is listening. If you focus your intention on what you think of you, everything will work out pretty well. That's what I've done, and that's the way it worked out. At this writing, I'm 86, and hopefully I will grow for another 10 years. But I know right now things are going very well. I like me. I like what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. A lot of this worrying about what other people think starts early in life. When we were little kids, we would hear our parents say, what would the neighbors think? I've come to this conclusion. Hopefully the neighbors do think, but what they think really doesn't make any difference. Most people are concerned with what other people think. They shouldn't be. They should be concerned with what they think of themselves. We've got to take a look at how we're living. Are we choosing our own path? Are we operating on an image of the kind of life we want and execute it? Or are we just trying to get by as best as we can day to day? You've got to know where you are. Furthermore, you have to know where you're going. Earl Nightingale's definition of success is the best that I've heard. Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. An ideal is an idea that you've fallen in love with. You are progressively becoming aware as you're moving towards the good that you desire. Money, a necessary commodity. Not everyone may want to create wealth, but everyone, I believe, should put themselves in a solid financial position, since money is used for other people's products or services. It's a necessary commodity in the world we live in. Everyone can create that kind of wealth. Once I was flying a plane to Kuala Lumpur from Toronto. It's 25 hours in the air one way, so I had a lot of time to think. I spent the time doodling on a pad with a calculator. I kept thinking, how can I improve the business? How can I create a new idea? I wrote down $1 million. The numeral 1 followed by 6 zeros. I had earned $1 million in the 60s, but I really didn't know what I had done. As I said earlier, I was unconsciously confident. Then I thought of people I knew that had earned $1 million. What was so different about them? I suddenly realized they weren't different at all. It's that they didn't have just one source of income. If you have a job, you've got one source of income. I don't care how good you are at it, and I don't care how much you earn an hour, you still have only one source of income. Wealthy people have many sources. Historically, even if you go back to the ancient Babylons, wealthy people all had multiple sources of income. Then I got an idea. I would do a seminar to teach people how to earn $1 million by creating multiple sources of income. We did that very well. Teaching how anybody could become wealthy by setting up multiple sources of income. You don't have one source, you have all kinds of them. I have no desire to be as wealthy as Jeff Bezos. I have no desire to have millions of dollars. I'm happy with 2 or 3 million in the bank and being busy working and creating work because I like to give it away and I like to do a lot of good. That's what I think wealth is for. But anyone, I don't care who it is, can become reasonably wealthy. And it's easier today than it's ever been because of the internet. I set up a company called MSI Connect. MSI stands for multiple sources of income or multiple streams of income where people work together, helping one another set up their MSIs, doing joint ventures and becoming affiliates. There are many different places where people can go, but it's a matter of changing your paradigm. If you're not too interested in earning money, you should get interested because it controls a good part of your life. If you're not interested, it's because your paradigm is trying to stop you. It's like a cop. It stands there and won't let you go past. You've got to get past the cop. You've got to decide that the paradigm is not going to control you anymore. Say, no more. I'm moving ahead. I'm going ahead and I'm not going to stop. How much money do you want to earn? Get busy and start earning it. When I started reading Think and Grow Rich, I went from $4,000 a year and I owed $6,000. So if I paid debt for a year and a half, I would have just broken even with nothing to live on. In less than a year, my income had gone up to $14,500 a month. Somebody had said there was good money in cleaning floors. I said, I'm not proud, I'll clean floors. I started to clean floors. I started to clean offices. We ended up cleaning them in 7 cities and 3 different countries. Boom, away it went. You got to get with people that know how to earn money. They will teach you how. It's a subject and it has to be learned. School does not teach us how to earn money. A person could have a master's degree in commerce and finance and still be broken because they have never learned how to earn money. They may have learned how to keep it and count it, but they need to learn how to earn it. Lloyd Conant and Earl Nightingale didn't start a business, they started an industry. I was having dinner at Lloyd's house in 1968 and I asked him how he started the company. He said, I read a little green book all weekend. I read a little green book all weekend. I wasn't interested in how he started the company anymore. I wanted to know what the green book was. It was The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, first published in 1910. Earl gave me a copy. I've never stopped reading it. It's phenomenal. And by the way, we do have that book in audio where I'm reading it to you in the playlist here on Billionairette. Success and the worthy ideal. Let me go back to Earl Nightingale's definition of success, a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Say someone has accumulated $5 million and is working towards 10 million. Another person is a student in school who's getting a C and D average, but is working toward an A and B average. They're progressively moving in a direction. Although their paths are totally different, one is equally as successful as the other because both are moving toward a predetermined objective. Success is not where you are, it's where you're going. It's the direction you're moving in, your life aim. The basic law of life is create or disintegrate. If you're working toward a predetermined goal, you're creating. You're doing what God meant you to do. I believe we're here to do God's work. Now, when they say God's the creator, so God's work would be creation. Now they say God's the creator, so God's work would be creation. When we're given creative faculties, we should get on with the job and start creating because we're quite capable of it. A lot of people carry around the idea that they'll succeed if they just set a goal, write it down on an index card and work as hard as possible. They're not going to go anywhere. They'll go up and down until they get tired of going up and down, then they'll quit and level out where they are. And that's the way they'll live the rest of their lives. Take the gyms and workout centers. People who own them have earned millions selling memberships. They know that when a person buys a year's membership, they may go for 2 or 3 weeks, then they'll stop going. That's because the person never changed their paradigm. They want to change their body, but they don't want to change the thing that controls the body. The body is the instrument of the mind. It will reflect the operations of the mind, whether they are automatic or consciously and deliberately chosen. If you understand the laws, you're working in harmony with them. You'll still have to work to reach your goal. It won't be just a walk in the park, but it's going to be a very good trip. You're going to enjoy it, and you're going to keep moving ahead. This is key. But understand that moving ahead means that you're changing the paradigm. You want to change the results, but the results are nothing but the manifestation of your actions. Your actions are caused by the paradigm, not by how much you know. There's a whole lot of people that know a lot, but what results do they have to show for it? It's not just what you know, it's about the actions. People know how to do better, but they don't do it. We've got to change the paradigm if we're going to reach our goals. It's an absolute essential. No one who hasn't got some understanding of the paradigm is really going to enjoy a successful life. And oddly enough, not many people understand the paradigm. Over the years, I've discovered that a lot of people are very successful, but don't understand why. They have built a very good paradigm, but they don't have the satisfaction of knowing why they're doing well. What they've got is non-transferable. They can't give it to anybody else. When you understand paradigms, you understand how they're built and you understand how they can be changed. Then you're off to the races because you can take control of your life. I've seen some beautiful things happening in people's lives when they understand these principles. Doesn't matter what happened in the past or where you're starting. What matters is where you're going. When I started, I had a bad work record and a bad attitude with nothing going for me, but none of that mattered. As it says in the Bible, let the dead bury the dead. That's good advice for dealing with the past. First of all, you have to take into consideration that you do have a paradigm. I've got one, you've got one, and the paradigm dictates how well I'm going to do today, tomorrow, and in the near future. If I want to do better than what I've been doing, I'm going to have to change the paradigms. I'm on a constant educational process of changing my own paradigm and improving it. The paradigm is your habitual way of living. The paradigm is your habitual way of living. Part of your paradigm is very good. It serves you. It's good for you. It's good for other people, and it's creating good in your life. So paradigm is not all negative. It's both positive and negative. I want to turn more of the bad ideas that I've got into good ideas and my bad habits into good habits. So I work at that every day. I work at that every day, and I probably will until I die. I went away for about 3 days with a couple of friends, and I worked on my purpose. I determined that my purpose is to live and work in a prosperous environment that encourages productivity and pleasure so that I can improve the service I render to my family, my community, my company, my nation, and ultimately the world. It's one of service. It took me over 3 days to figure this out. You should spend time working out your purpose. It's your reason for getting out of bed, and it will help you make a lot of decisions. People offer me great opportunities which could earn a lot of money. I'm not remotely interested in some of them because they're off purpose. Marshall Fields says real estate is the best, safest way to become wealthy. I don't necessarily agree with that. A lot of money is earned in real estate, but I'm not remotely interested in real estate. That would be off track for me. My purpose is what I'm doing, to live and work in a prosperous environment that encourages productivity and pleasure so that I can improve the service I render to my family, my company, my community, my nation, and ultimately the world. That's what I do. I do it every day from early in the morning until early evening. If you have not found your purpose, I would recommend setting aside 10 to 15 minutes every morning. Put a pen and pad someplace where you can sit quietly. If you drink coffee, make yourself a cup of coffee, go to your spot, sit there and ask, what do I love doing? I believe we're all hardwired to do something great with our lives. We've been given enormous talent and ability beyond the scope of our imagination. But if we don't find our purpose, we won't use this ability. We would end up running from one successful venture to another, remaining constantly frustrated because it's never what we wanted and we don't get enough satisfaction from it. Earl Nightingale said, you don't go to work for money, you go to work for satisfaction. You provide service for money. If you're on purpose, you're going to get tremendous satisfaction from how you spend your days. I do, because everything I do is on purpose. You may wonder whether your purpose is created or discovered. I believe it is discovered. One time I watched a woman who was being interviewed on television. She had been a dancer in a chorus line in Las Vegas, and she said, I knew I wasn't a good enough dancer to be a star, so I quit. I love baking pastries, so I moved to France and I got jobs working with some of the best pastry shops in France. She became one of the best pastry chefs in the world. At this point, you may be asking, but I can't earn any money doing what I love. It doesn't matter whether you're earning money if you love what you do. What matters is, do you love it? That is the question. And as we conclude this chapter, Earl Nightingale also used to say that riches come in two forms, tangible and what he called psychic. Psychic income is a satisfaction you get from the way you spend your days. Material income, of course, is the amount of money you earn. It's all based on the law of compensation, what Earl called the formula. The income you earn is in direct ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty of replacing you. I'm going to repeat that one more time. This is a formula. This is the law of compensation. The income you earn is in direct ratio to the need for what you do. That's one, the need for what you do. Number two, your ability to do it. And three, the difficulty there is in replacing you. There's got to be a tremendous need for what you're doing. So you're going to get really good at it, and you're going to be really difficult to replace. And that concludes chapter 3 with the law of compensation, the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. And that concludes today's Read With Me session. In the next Read With Me session, we're going to dive into chapter 4, which is called Paradigms and Cybernetics, setting your control system to achieve your desired results. Hope you got a ton out of that chapter. It's super jam-packed with knowledge, with incredible information, perspectives, insights on paradigms, how they can hold us back, but also how they're positive and they can be bad, and what to do with the paradigms and becoming aware of our paradigms. Super, super amazing chapter, and where confidence comes from. Confidence doesn't come, he says, from the knowledge that you have. It doesn't come from the knowledge that we have. We can have a ton of knowledge, but it's understanding how to do something. And then also taking action, how and action. That's where the results come from, the action, not the knowledge, the action. Appreciate you, love you. So glad you're here and you're continuing to grow every single day by joining us in these Read With Me session videos. If you haven't yet, go check out Isabel's featured financial freedom book of the month, which is The Psychology of Money. It's in the playlist. It's absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, we'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts on this particular chapter, this book so far. And we'll see you in the next episode. Let's continue to connect with each other. Check out the description below for the different links to our Instagram, our inner circle, and all that good stuff. Appreciate you. Have an amazing day. and go be great. Take care. God bless.